Alright, good morning everyone. We are here with an early one, break 275. This is the last of our 24 traders case breaks that we have planned anyway. As you never know what might happen in the future, we might chuck a sneaky one up, but no intentions at this point in time. So this is the last one, which includes a 24 traders titanium case, a 24 traders priority box, and a mini starter case. So we are set up and ready to go. I will bring the chat and the team list up. Alright, this morning we have Broncos, Cameron Dawson, Raiders, Peter Lowe, Bulldogs, Lee Marshall, Sharks, David McFarlane, Dolphins, Lee Marshall, Titans, Lee Marshall, Manly, Peter Lowe, Storm, Stephen Gillard, Knights with the Raz win, Nathan Seal. Now, we're a little bit confused. I believe Nathan Seal is a completely new customer, so congratulations, first time breaker with us, and yeah, welcome. Stephen Gillard with the Cowboys, Steve Harris with Eels, Lee Marshall with Panthers, Lachlan Brisky with Rabbitohs, Peter Lowe Dragons, Trent with Roosters, Peter with Warriors, and Josh with Tigers. Thank you to Lee this morning for filling out the Raz, and Peter Lowe jumping in and grabbing the last spot. Alright, we are ready. Everyone, YouTube's a bit delayed. Okay, that's a bit better. Alright, let's get started on our starters. $13 spots left in our next random team break, which includes 4 24 traders boxes, priority box, 10 starter packs, and a bonus 21 traders box. That's it. Let's go. Starter pack number 1. There's my sleeves. In the copper, number 186, Maya Hill Moana for the Roosters. In the silver, number 6, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. In the silver, Balami Kikau, number 8. Couple of low numbers already. Let's go. I'm going to try and rush through this as much as possible, guys. Give myself as much time to get pictures done this afternoon. 125, Shante for the Titans in the copper. I've got school pickup. In the copper, number 171, Ewan Aiken for the Dolphins. In the gold, number 47, Shante Aratu for the Titans. In the copper, number 48, Braden Henlon-Yuli for the Sharks. In the gold, number 13, Brendan Pakura for the Broncos. In the silver, number 13, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Number 9, quite a few lowish numbers. In the copper, April for the Gold Stars. Number 52 in the gold, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. In the gold, number 36, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. In the silver, number 20 for the Gold Stars, April. Number 6 in the copper, Jerome Hughes, the Storm. In the copper, number 71, Elliot Whitehead for the Raiders. Number 94 in the copper, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. We've got 4 more starter packs. In the copper, number 9, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. We've got 5 teams so far. Let's see if we can knock a couple of them off. There we go. There's one. 80 in the silver, Racine McGregor for the Dragons. In the copper, full rainbow, I believe, number 80, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Gold, silver and copper. And a gold to finish us off, number 18, Elliot Whitehead for the Raiders. Alright, I feel more comfortable with them on this side, so we're just going to shift them across. More natural with the bin. Let's go. Club Heroes, Tiana Penatani for the Sharks. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. World in League, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Rabbitohs, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ryan Couchman for the Dragons. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for Broncos. Club hero, Samai Matorfa for the Raiders. Brighton Nakora, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Season 2 member, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Warriors, parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Harry Grant for the Storm. David Clement, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Season 2 member, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Sharks, parallel checklist. Season 2 member, Meli Hafunga for the Broncos. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Sienna Lafipu for the Titans. Joseph Tarpanate, parallel for the Raiders. Go the Sky Blues, by the way. Predictor, number 61, Cowboys. So I inspect these a bit harder now because they're not easy. Well, yeah, they're not easy to spot always for the women's and the men's. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. G'day, Jinx. How are we? World in League, Brendan Wakeham for the Tigers. There he goes, that Tigers. Thought he was at Bulldogs. Dragons parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Not bad, busy. Women's, Gail Broughton for the Broncos. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Club heroes, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Ryan Rivet for the Knights. Adam Fanua, Blake Parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Sharks Parallel Checklist. Women's NRL, Shaylee Bent for the Knights. Nathan Cleary, Parallel for Panthers. I'm sure we just called Nathan Cleary Parallel. Showcase Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Damien Cook, Parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Corey Horsburgh, Parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Scott Drinkwater, Parallel for Cowboys. Showcase Reece Welsh for the Broncos. Clint Guppo for the Eels. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. William Kennedy, Parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Gordon Tong for Manly. Tigers, Parallel Checklist. Warriors, Jackson Ford for the Warriors, Parallel. World in League, Hamoli Olika R2 for Manly. Jesse Bromwich, Parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Talon De Silva for Tigers. Phoenix Crossland, Parallel for Knights. Tony Staggs, Parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Jesse Southwell for Knights. Mawaki Fotuaika, Parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Will Warbrick for Storm. Chad Townsend, Parallel for the Cowboys. Parallel, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Sword and Shield, Cameron Munster for Storm. Joey Manu, Parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Joseph Tarpanay, Parallel for the Raiders. World in League, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Jackson Hastings parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Adam Finua-Blake parallel for the Warriors. Hammer Fido parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Jerome Hughes for Storm. Dragons parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Connor Mulhayson for the Dragons. Ryan Madison parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Meli Hafunga for the Broncos. Nick Meaney parallel for Storm. Parallel Broncos checklist. Rising Stars, Robert Derby for the Cowboys. Jermaine Isako parallel for Dolphins. Sword and Shield, Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Liam Martin parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Wiremu Grigg for the Eels. Daniel Tupou parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Yasmin Clydesdale for the Knights. Daly Cherry Evans parallel for Manly. World in League, Elsie Albert for the Eels. Harry Grant parallel for Storm. Come on. Rising Stars, Tane for the Warriors. Zach Lomax parallel for the Dragons. Toby Sexton parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Holly Dodd for the Raiders. Big Tino parallel for the Titans. Club Heroes, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Jermaine Hopgood parallel for the Eels. I'm getting towards the end of the Women's NRL, Azali Faye for the Eels. Hammer Fido parallel for the Dolphins. Spalding League, Racing McGregor for the Dragons. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Hopawate for the Roosters. James Tedesco, parallel for Roosters. Women's, Emily Bass for the Titans. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Mia Wood for the Roosters. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Ebony Pryor for the Tigers. Jaden Sewer, parallel for Dragons. 3 packets left out of the starter box. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for Raiders. Parallel Bulldogs checklist. And lucky last. If you've been watching for a while, well no it's not, I was going to say this is the last chance to hit a double or a triple, but it's not, because we can still do that in the mini ones. Rising Stars, Mason Teague for the Dolphins, Philip Semi parallel for the Titans. Alright, we have our priority box which we will save till the end. Let's find out who our lucky case card winner is. Lee Marshall. There we go. Congratulations. Number 33, Reed Marnie with the Bulldogs. Let's get these boxes out and the case tidied up, out of the way. Alright. Very good copy. Alright, let's go. Box number 1 out of the case. Feels like that mini starter case takes forever. Alright, group card for the showcase. Titans parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Dream Buller for the Tigers. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Mackenzie Wiki Women's NRL for the Raiders. Cody Walker parallel for the Rabbitohs. World in League, Jerome Luai for Panthers. Selwyn Cobbo parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Jada Taylor for the Sharks. Valance to Wear parallel for the Dolphins. Season to Remember, Jamal Fogarty for the Raiders. Greg Marshew parallel for Knights. Gold parallel, Ryan Madison for the Eels, number 80. Tamir Martin parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Ruby Ellis for the Eels. Blake Brayley parallel for the Sharks. Sorry, random dog just walked past my window. I don't know if there's anyone with it, or it was a bit weird. Tane Club Heroes for the Warriors. Dream Buller parallel for the Tigers. Sword and Shield, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Isaiah Yeo parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Marcus Sivo parallel for Eels. Season to Remember, Apasai Coruscant for the Tigers. Victor Radley parallel for Roosters. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Josh Papali'i for the Raiders. Big Papa is so much easier to say. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Christian Welsh parallel for the Storm. More so because I don't know how to say Papali'i properly these days. Holly Dodd, World in League for the Raiders. Blake Laurie parallel for the Dragons. Valentine Holmes, Season to Remember for the Cowboys. Max King parallel for Bulldogs. Women's Gold parallel, Kira Dib for the Cowboys. Eels parallel checklist. Retirements, Renee Target for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Parallel, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Almost gets me every time. When I'm opening for the web or sorting for the website, I quite regularly will put the Rising Star or whatever insert it is between the retirement and the parallel on the parallel pile. Just out of habit. Dream Buller, Club Heroes for the Tigers. Alifiana Campiera for the Titans. Season 2 member Emma Tanigato for the Sharks. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sword and Shield team for the Knights. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. World in League, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Tom Jenkins for Panthers. Knights parallel checklist. Season 2 member Jackson Paulo for the Roosters. Wade Egan, parallel for Warriors. Sword and Shield, Tyson Frizzell for the Knights. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Tom Weaver for the Titans. Apisai Coruscant, parallel for Tigers. World in League, Saitili Tupanua for the Roosters. World in League parallel. Nice. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Getting towards the end of our first box. 7th last packet. Women's NRL, Jasmine Peters for the Cowboys. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Showcase, Felice Kafusi for Dolphins. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Destiny Brill for Broncos. Roosters, parallel checklist. No, don't need two at once. Running Machines, Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Number 92. No. Don't do that. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. World in League, Anessa Bill for the Sharks. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Francesca Goldthorpe for the Cowboys. Jack DeBellin, parallel for Raiders, for Dragons. Alright, let's get into box number 2. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for Dolphins. All good, buddy, all good. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Shannon Muru, World in League parallel for the Eels. Jason Tormalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Jerome Hughes, showcase for the Storm. Ezra Mam, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Dolphins. Women's NRL, Emily Bass for the Titans. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for Knights. World in League, Justin Olam for Storm. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Nico Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Meli Hafunga, season to remember for the Broncos. And Junior Tupou, parallel for the Tigers. Gold parallel, Apasai Coruscant for Tigers, number 15. Tolator Koala, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Alexander Brimson at parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Brian To'o, parallel for the Panthers. Club Heroes, Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Sword and Shield, David Fafita for the Titans. Raiders Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Alexis Tanay for the Dragons. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Season 2 member, Lachlan Ilias for the Rabbitohs. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. Sophie Hollyman, Women's NRL for the Raiders. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Retirements, Brad Takarangi for the Eels. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Salami Kickout, parallel for Bulldogs. World in League, Joseph Tarpanay for the Raiders. Kieran Foran, parallel for the Titans. Pauline Razabel, a gold parallel for the Tigers, number 81. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season 2 member, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Club hero, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. Season remember, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Showcase Tyson Frizell for the Knights. Will Warbrick, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Sword and Shield team for the Warriors. Sean Johnson, parallel for the Warriors. World in League, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Renato Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jonah Pezzett for the Storm. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Season 2 member, Dylan Edwards for the Panthers. Amali Olaka-Atu, parallel for Manly. World in League, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Panthers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Running Machines, Nick Meaney for the Storm, number 98. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Last packet for box number 2. Rising Stars, Dean Madison for Manly. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Alright. Alright, let's go. Box number 3. Rising Stars, Thomas Camp for the Knights. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for Storm. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Showcase Avanti Afawa for the Warriors. James Tedesco, parallel for Roosters. Rising Star, Shante Aratu for the Titans. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Felice Kafusi, parallel for Dolphins. Racine McGregor, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. World in League, Abigail Roach for the Knights. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jada Ferguson for the Broncos. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Club Heroes for the Cowboys. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Hudson Young for the Raiders. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Kira Dibb for the Cowboys. Chance Nico Coxstad parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars Sandon Smith for the Roosters. Nico Hines parallel for the Sharks. World in League, Braden Hamlin Ewley for the Sharks. Junior Tupou parallel for Tigers. Sword and Shield, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Ezra Mam parallel for the Broncos. Hope everyone's got their tips in, ready to go. Kira Dibb, season remember for the Cowboys. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Caitlin Johnston, gold parallel for the Knights, number 63. Tolto Koala, parallel for Manly. Getting close to 1,900 members in the Facebook group, which will mean another member giveaway. Rising Stars, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Club Heroes, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Batil Avet Welsh for the Tigers. Raiders, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Talon De Silva for Tigers. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Sword and Shield team for the Roosters. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for the Dragons. Gold parallel, Alifiana Campiera, number 56 for the Titans. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. World in League, Hamali Olaka-Atu for Manly. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. Bellamy Kickout, parallel for Bulldogs. Season to remember, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Kieran Foran, parallel for the Titans. Sword and Shield, Isaiah Katoa, Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Wirral McGregor for the Eels. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Haley Maddock for the Broncos. Payne Haas parallel for the Broncos. Showcase David Clemmer for the Tigers. Isaiah Katoa parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars Tane for the Warriors. Bradman Best parallel for Knights. Rising Stars Jack Howarth for Storm. Tommy Dearden parallel for the Cowboys. World in League Elsie Albert for the Eels. Sean Johnson parallel for Warriors. Season 2 member Luke Keary for the Roosters. Ronaldo Molisalo parallel for the Sharks. Alright, 3 packets left for box number 3. Rising Stars Holly Dodd for the Raiders. Adam Dewey parallel for the Tigers. World in League parallel Sarah Togatuki for the Tigers. Hamoli Olaka-Atu parallel for Manly. Alright, lucky last for box number 3. Let's go. Retirements. Josh Hodgson for the Eels. And Panthers parallel checklist to finish it off. Alright, let's tidy these ones up and get on to the next ones. Box number 4. Not doing too bad, around 10 minutes a box so far, guys. It's a good average. Showcase Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Zach Lomax parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars Alfiana Khan Piera for the Titans. Jermaine Hopgood parallel for the Eels. Holly Dodd Women's NRL for the Raiders. Toby Sexton parallel for the Bulldogs. World in League, Shale Oretti for the Raiders. Big Tino parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Brendan Procura for the Broncos. Scott Drinkwater parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Bradman Best for the Knights. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Gold parallel, Darren Latine Zalesniak for the Warriors, number 24. Patrick Carrigan parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Corey Horsburgh parallel for the Raiders. to remember, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Tiana Smith for the Cowboys. Hammerfido, parallel for the Dolphins. Club Hero, Blake Laurie for the Dragons. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Knights. Sword and Shield, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Adam Fennell Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Gordon Tong for Manly. Sharks, parallel checklist. Season 2 member, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Women's NRL, Margot Avella for the Dragons. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Hopper Wate for the Roosters. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. World in League, Lachlan Ilias for the Rabbitohs. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL Gold Parallel, Jasmine Peters, number 120 for the Cowboys. Joseph Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. Retirements, James Tarmo for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Ebony Pryor for the Tigers. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Club Heroes, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Dragons, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Mason Teague for the Dolphins. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Team Sword and Shield for the Storm. Milwaukee Fodawaka, parallel for Titans. World in League, Georgia Roach for the Knights. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. World in League, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Hudson Young, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Jesse Calhoun for the Sharks. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Valance to wear, season to remember for the Dolphins. Broncos, parallel checklist. Sword and Shield, Azai Yo for the Panthers. Jermaine Isako, parallel for Dolphins. Initials, Brighton Nakora for the Sharks, number 131. Storm parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Brendan Hands for the Eels. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Vitalina Nakor for the Cowboys. Darren Martin Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Showcase Tolto Kuala for Manly. CSF Italikai, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. Sean Bloor, parallel for Tigers. 3 packets left for box number 4. World in League, CSF Italikai for the Sharks. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Tyrone Peachy for Panthers. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. And last packet for the box. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Lindsay Collins, parallel for the Roosters. Alright, we're going to tie this box up, guys, and I'm going to quickly run off for a toilet break. And we'll get stuck into the next one in a couple of minutes. Alright, sorry guys, back now. Let's get back into it. Cold weather and coffee do not mix. Well, not for me anyway. Problem is I like coffee too much and it's good in cold weather. So Rising Stars, Benjamin, I love it. for the Rabbitohs. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Season 2 member Dally Cherry Evans for Manly. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Dolphins. Showcase Nat Butcher for the Roosters. Phoenix Crossland, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Warriors, parallel checklist. With all the new names popping up, guys, I am going to remind everyone, if you are trying to comment, we do have it turned on, so you have to be signed into your account. I believe you also have to be a subscriber of the channel, and that's only to protect against the spam bots and things like that. So if it does cause any inconvenience, I am sorry. Welcome to the video and good luck. Shania Power, Women's NRL for the Cowboys. Brighton Nakora, parallel for the Sharks. Sarana for the Sharks, World in League. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Dream Buller for the Tigers. Dally Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. And you're always welcome to re-watch the video after it ends. That way you can always speed up the video and watch it in double time. Nick Meaney, season to remember for Storm. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Gold parallel, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights, number 47. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jada Taylor for the Sharks. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Club Heroes, Dream Buller for the Tigers. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Sword and Shield, Nat Butcher for the Roosters. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ruby Ellis for the Eels. Jermaine Hopgood, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Scott Drinkwater for the Cowboys. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Hope everyone's got their wish list for any cards they're still chasing sorted out, as we have actually been filling a few gaps, which has been good. Ali Brigginshaw, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Big Tino, parallel for Titans. Start to see less pitches missing in the series. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Gold parallel, Taylor Preston for the Sharks, number 145. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Mitchell Moses, World in League for the Eels. Rabbitohs, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Dolphins. I'm not going to lie, I am secretly hoping that we hit the World in League, which I don't even know if it is Moses. Oh, priority. Tiana Penatani, Club Heroes for the Sharks. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Knights. Oh well. I might be hoping for a card that doesn't exist, but after getting the rainbow for Moses out of the starters, I'm hoping that we hit the priority parallel and the parallel in the case. Season to remember, Mackenzie Wicker, who's got the Eels, Steve Harris, there we go. Adam Fanilla Blake, parallel for Warriors. There you go, mate. Just know I'm secretly hoping for a nice hit for you. Rising Stars, Ella Costa for the Dragons. Sharks parallel checklist. Sword and Shield team for the Sharks. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Adam Dewey, World in League for the Tigers. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure it's Sivo. Is it Sivo? Rising Stars, Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Pretty sure it's the parallels are opposite to the starters. Luke Brooks, season to remember for the Tigers. Don't quote me on that, guys. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. I know I have been opening enough and I should know the answers, but I got a shocking memory. I'm hopeless. Sword and Shield, Dream Buller for the Tigers. Joey Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Tom Jenkins for Panthers. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Women's NRL, Rachel Pearson for the Eels. Dragons, parallel checklist. Showcase Sean Lane for the Eels. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Tom Weaver for the Titans. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. World in League, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Milwaukee Fotuaika, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Cameron McInnes for the Sharks. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Destiny Abril for Broncos. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Tyson Frizzell, World in League parallel for the Knights. Broncos parallel checklist. Black. Number 14. Ella Costa for the Dragons. There you go, Peter. Jermaine Isako, parallel for the Dolphins. And that's another box done and dusted. Lucky last pack as well with the black authentic. Nice. Alright, let's go. Box number 6. Halfway through the case. It's always a good thing. I think we were running on time for 10 minutes a box before my little toilet break. That's alright. Season to remember, Emma Tony Gatto for the Sharks. Alafiana Kampi Era for Titans. Showcase Blake Laurie for the Dragons. Ruben Cotter, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Ryan Couchman for the Dragons. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Yes, please. Emily Curtin, Women's NRL for the Tigers. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. World in League, Maya Hilma Anna for the Roosters. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Ryan Rivet for the Knights. Knights parallel checklist. Season to remember, Jackson Paulo for the Roosters. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Ollie Dodd for the Raiders. Jacob Preston, parallel for the Bulldogs. Gold parallel, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Number 13. Excuse me. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Apsai Coruscant, parallel for Tigers. Club Heroes, Shannon Mato for the Titans. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Sword and Shield, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Sienna Lafipu for the Titans. Roosters parallel checklist. Rising Star, season to remember, Jaden Ockenball for Bulldogs. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Tiana Penatani for the Sharks. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Jack DeBellin, parallel for Dragons. World in League, Jason Tomalolo for the Cowboys. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Women's Gold parallel, Shaylee Bent, number 5 for the Titans. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Will Warbrick for Storm. Dave Feeder, parallel for the Titans. Club Heroes, Jacob Preston for the Bulldogs. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Jamie Chapman for the Titans. Dry Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Robert Derby for the Cowboys. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Sword and Shield team for the Raiders. Tommy Gilbert, parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Brendan Pekura for the Broncos. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Raymond Vega for Manly. Jackson Ford, parallel for the Warriors. Retirements, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Season to remember, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Sword and Shield, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Tigers, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Atessa Poole for the Sharks. Jake Boyvich, parallel for Manly. Corbin Baxter, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Parallel, Brendan Pekura for the Broncos. World in League, Bulldogs parallel checklist. There we go. 6 last packet for box number 6. Showcase Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Another predictor, number 8 for Manly. There we go. Peter Lowe. Philip semi-parallel for the Titans. World in League for the Dragons, Tyler Wong. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. 2 packets left. Season to remember, Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, a junior Tupou for the Tigers. And Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. Right. Good coffee. Showcase Reed Marnie for the Bulldogs. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Brendan Procura for the Broncos. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. World in League, Tony Staggs for the Broncos. Big Papa, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Tiana Smith for the Cowboys. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Campbell Graham, gold parallel for the Rabbitohs, number 7. Eels parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Alfiana Khan Piera for Titans. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Gordon Tong for Manly. Jacob Preston, parallel for the Bulldogs. Club Heroes, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Alfiana Khan Piera, parallel for Titans. Sword and Shield, Reuben Garrick for Manly. Ruben Cotter, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Hopper Wate for the Roosters. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Dolphins. Adam Reynolds, parallel for Broncos. Women's NRL, Jamie Chapman for Titans. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Ebony Pryor for Tigers. Checklist, parallel for the Knights. World in League, Racine McGregor for the Dragons. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Dream Buller, parallel for the Tigers. Abby Church, gold parallel for the Eels, number 104. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Mason Teague for the Dolphins. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Tigers. Club Heroes, Maria Denman for the Broncos. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Roosters, parallel checklist. Not at the moment, sorry. Sword and Shield team for the Bulldogs. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. World in League, Sanua Taruva for Panthers. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Now, to be fair, we have to buy 12 cases to be able to buy one case of priority. So, yeah, Rising Stars, Brendan Hands for the Eels. Jack DeBellin at parallel for the Dragons. That's why, yeah, they're normally only available at release with a case and a priority box. Rising Stars, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Jackson Ford, parallel for the Warriors. Matthew Feagai, season to remember for the Dragons. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield, Addo Carr for the Bulldogs. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Ali for the Warriors. No, all good, mate. Always welcome to ask questions. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. You don't know the answer until you ask. Madison Bartlett, women's NRL for the Raiders. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. World in League, Jerome Hughes, parallel for the Storm. Oh, there you go. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. So I might be wrong. We may be able to get the Moses Priority World in League. Georgia Hale, authentic initials, number 79 for the Titans. So I'm not a Storm fan, I am an Eels fan, but I do believe my favourite card in this series is the World in League Gold Parallel of Jerome Hughes. Tigers Checklist. The gold and the purple just look awesome. Showcase Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Ethan Strange for the Raiders. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Elliot Whitehead, World in League for the Raiders. Tom Gilbert, parallel for the Dolphins. Alright, last pack for box number 7. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. Alright, let's go. Box number 8. Sammy Valemi, World in League for the Cowboys. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Sua Wong for the Roosters. Valemi Kickout, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Kieran Ford, parallel for Titans. Gold parallel, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Number 76. Cowboys parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Francesca Goldthorpe for the Cowboys. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Tallis Duncan for the Rabbitohs. Campbell Graham parallel for the Rabbitohs. Club Heroes, Emma Manzelman for the Cowboys. Payne Huss parallel for the Broncos. Felice Kafusi, Sword and Shield for the Dolphins. Isaiah Katoa, parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Kyle Olopo for Bulldogs. Bradman Best, parallel for Knights. Season to remember, Luke Keary for the Roosters. Sean Johnson, parallel for Warriors. Women's NRL, Quincy Dodd for the Sharks. Tyrell Sloan, parallel for Dragons. Women's NRL, Millie Boyle for the Roosters. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Eliza Salata for the Tigers. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. World in League, Melly Hafunga for the Broncos. Amali Olaka-Atu, parallel for Manly. Shanae Siasolka, Women's NRL Gold, number 54. Panthers Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Club Heroes, Will Warbrick for Storm. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Batil Avet Welsh for the Tigers. Brendan Smith, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Will Warbrick, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Sword and Shield team for the Eels. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. World in League, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Alexander Brinson, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Alafiana Kampi error for Titans. Jason Tormalolo, parallel for Cowboys. Sword and Shield, Cameron Munster for Storm. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Women's NRL, Lauren Brown for the Titans. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Dolphins. Showcase, Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Phoenix Crossland, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Connor Mulhayson for the Dragons. Warriors, parallel checklist. World in League, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Brighton Nakora, parallel for Sharks. Showcase, Ronaldo Mulatalo for the Sharks. Raiders, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Micah Sivo for the Eels. John Bateman, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. World in League, parallel Vitalina Nakor for the Cowboys. Liam Martin, parallel for the Panthers. 2 packets left for box number 8. There we go. I thought we were starting to box number 7. James Tedesco, running machines for the Roosters, number 95. Definitely getting through them now. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Destiny Brill, Rising Stars for the Broncos, and Brian Totter, parallel for Panthers. Alright, another box done and dusted. Let's go. Box number 9. Oh, Dalian Predictor. Number 12 for the Raiders. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Nick Meaney, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Dragons Parallel Checklist. Showcase Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Ryan Madison parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Jacob Carraz parallel for the Bulldogs. Taylor Preston, Women's NRL for the Sharks. Milwaukee Fotowaka parallel for Titans. World in League, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks parallel. Xavier Coates parallel for the Storm. World in League, April for the Cowboys. Chad Townsend parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Damien Cook parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Valance to wear for Dolphins. Broncos parallel checklist. Gold parallel, Reese Welsh for the Broncos, number 31. Jermaine Isako parallel for Dolphins. Rising Stars, Alexis Tanay for the Dragons. Jacob Saifiti parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Benjamin Lovett for the Rabbitohs. Sebastian Chris parallel for the Raiders. Club Heroes, Alfiana Khan-Piera for the Titans. Dallin Martin Zalesniak parallel for Warriors. Sword and Shield, Nathan Cleary for Panthers. CSF Italici parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Sean Bloor parallel for Tigers. Season to remember, Tyrone Peachy for Panthers. Tommy Turbo parallel for Manly. Women's NRL, Taryn Aiken for the Roosters. James Fisher-Harris parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Kiana Kinney for the Titans. Lindsay Collins parallel for the Roosters. World in League, Adam Fennell-Blake for the Warriors. Hudson Young parallel for Raiders. Gold parallel, Haley Matic for the Broncos, number 132. Storm Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for Dragons. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for Storm. Jared Rera Hargraves, parallel for Roosters. Club Heroes, Abby Church for Eels. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for Eels. Season to remember, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Ada Carr, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jonah Pezzett for Storm. Jaden Campbell, parallel for Titans. Sword and Shield team for the Cowboys. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. World in League, Gale Broughton for the Broncos. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Reece Walsh, parallel for Broncos. Sword and Shield, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Dane Gagai, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Dean Madison for Manly. Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Women's NRL, Shaylee Bent for the Titans. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Sharks. Showcase, Toltor Koala for Manly. Stefano Utukamanu, parallel for the Tigers. 3 packets left for the box. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Benny Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. World in League, Jaden Stewart for Dragons. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Season remember, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Dolphins, parallel checklist. Alright. That's box number 9, done and dusted. Tidy these up and get stuck into the next ones. Let's go. Club Heroes, Kalen Ponga for the Knights. Cameron McInnes, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Toby Couchman for the Dragons. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Season remember, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Group card. Number 2, Addo-Carr, parallel for the Bulldogs. So we randomised both of them at the end separately between all 17 teams. Rising Stars, Thomas Cant for the Knights. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Garb Broughton at Women's NRL for the Broncos. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for Cowboys. World in League, Micah Sevo for the Eels. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sword and Shield, Tohu Harris for the Warriors. Stefani Kamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Jack Howarth for the Storm. Ben Jovic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for Storm. Jerome Luai, parallel for the Panthers. Zali Faye, Women's NRL for the Eels. Jared Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Zach Labour for the Cowboys. Sebastian Chris, parallel for the Raiders. World in League, Sarah Togatuki for the Tigers. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. Rising Star, Shante Aratu for the Titans. Reece Welsh, parallel for Broncos. Gold parallel, Mackenzie Awiki for the Raiders, number 103. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Sandon Smith for the Roosters. Marcus Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Club Heroes, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins. Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Titans, parallel checklist. Halfway through a box number 10. Rising Stars, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Sword and Shield team for the Dolphins. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Jada Ferguson for the Broncos. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. In League, Valami Kickout for the Bulldogs. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Talon De Silva for the Tigers. Alanis to wear, parallel for Dolphins. Season to remember, Jamal Fogarty for the Raiders. Greg Marzio, parallel for the Knights. Sword and Shield, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Tamir Martin, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Thomas Hazelton for the Sharks. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Yasmin Clydesdale for the Knights. Jareen Buller, parallel for the Tigers. Showcase, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Manly, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Wirma Greig for the Eels. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Gold parallel, Hudson Young for the Raiders. Now number 21. Oh, new sleeves. Organised today. Went and got new packets before we start. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Isaac Alou, World in League for the Titans. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Apsai Coruscant, season to remember for the Tigers. Big Papa, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Tane for the Warriors. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. World in League, Tyler Wong for the Dragons, parallel. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. 2 packets left for the box. White Authentics. Number 49, Reed Marnie. Eels Parallel Checklist. Life packet. Season to remember, Bench Beach for Manly. And a Dolphins Parallel Checklist. Box number 11, leaving box number 12, and our priority left to go. Club heroes, Dean Madison for Manly, Cameron McInnes, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Francesca Goldthorpe for the Cowboys, Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Mia Wood for the Roosters. Alan Watine Zalesniak, parallel for Warriors. Showcase Reece Welsh for the Broncos. CSF Italikai, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Sua Wong for the Roosters. Sean Bloor, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Caitlin Johnston, Women's NRL for the Knights. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Shante Aratu, World in League for the Titans. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Tallis Duncan for the Rabbitohs. Lindsay Collins, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Hudson Young, parallel for Raiders. Gold parallel, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Number 82. Geez, you got to get the right angle on them to see that number. Storm parallel checklist. I don't know if it's just because of the lighting I have around me that makes it harder or whatnot, but gold on gold. Bit difficult. Rising Stars, Carl for the Bulldogs. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. You know what the worst thing is, I actually practiced Carl's last name this morning. As he was on the Today Show. And, lost it already. Club heroes, Atta Marotta for the Raiders. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Addo Carr, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Eliza Salata for the Tigers. Jaden Campbell, parallel for Titans. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry, number 52 for the Dragons. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Kieran Foran, season to remember for Titans. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Mahalia Murphy for the Eels. Stefano Utokumani, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Cassie Hiku for the Eels. Ben Jabojevic, parallel for Manly. Sword and Shield team for the Rabbitohs. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. World in League, Vitalina McCaw for the Cowboys. Jared Rera Hargraves, parallel for Roosters. Nevada George, Women's NRL for the Tigers. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Mona Lisa Soliola for the Raiders. Sebastian Chris, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Dallin Watine Zalesniak for the Warriors. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. Sword and Shield, Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. World in League, Luke Keary for the Roosters. Dolphins, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Connor Mulhayson for the Dragons. Micah Sivo, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Max King, parallel for Bulldogs. Showcase, Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs. Titans, parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Murray Talagi, parallel for Cowboys. World in League, Dallin Watine Zalesniak for the Warriors. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. 5 packets left for our 11th box. Season to remember, Dominic Young for the Knights. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for Panthers. Valance to wear, parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Georgia Hale for the Titans, parallel. Greg Marsu, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Isaiah Katoa for the Dolphins, Reese Walsh, parallel for the Broncos. Alright, last packet for the box. Retirements, Josh Reynolds for the Bulldogs. And Tamir Martin, parallel for the Warriors. Alright, here we go. Box number 12 from the case, which is the last one in the case, obviously. Leaving only the priority box after this one. Alright. Showcase Renato Molitalo for the Sharks. Will Warbrick, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Ryan Rivet for the Knights. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL, Elsie Albert for the Eels. Bryce Cartwright, parallel for the Eels. World in League, Felice Kafusi for the Dolphins. Reed Marnie, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Tanua Taruva for Panthers. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Season 2 member, Alafiana Kampi Era for Titans. Jason Tomalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Gold parallel, Will Warbrick for Storm, number 68. Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season 2 member, Blake Wilson for the Bulldogs. Jordan Rapana, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Star, Sienna Lefipu for the Titans. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Club Heroes, Dylan Lucas for the Knights. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for Dolphins. Sword and Shield, Harry Grant for the Storm. Phoenix Crossland, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Orion Couchman for the Dragons. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Xavier Willison for the Broncos. Warriors Parallel Checklist. Season 2 member Micah Sivo for the Eels. Brighton Nakora parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL Hannah Southwell for the Knights. John Bateman parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars Will Warwick for Storm. Daly Cherry Evans parallel for Manly. World M League Brendan Wakeham for the Tigers. Liam Martin parallel for Panthers. Halfway through, box number 12. Gold parallel Isabel Kelly for the Roosters, number 205. Daniel Tupou parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars Robert Derby for the Cowboys. Corey Horsburgh parallel for the Raiders. Club Heroes Jermaine Isako for the Dolphins. Harry Grant parallel for Storm. Season to remember Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Zach Lomax parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars Raymond Vega for Manly. Jermaine Hopgood parallel for the Eels. Sword and Shield team for the Titans. Toby Sexton parallel for the Bulldogs. Georgia Hale Welding League for the Titans. Big Tino parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars Atessa Poole for the Roosters. Scott Drinkwater parallel for Cowboys. Season 2 member Bradman Best for the Knights. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Sword and Shield Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Patrick Carrigan parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Hammer Fido parallel for Dolphins. Got any left hiding in here? We got 8th last packet in the last box from the case. World in League parallel Elliot Whitehead for the Raiders. Joey Manu parallel for the Roosters. Pauline Razabel Women's NRL for the Tigers. Jackson Hastings parallel for the Knights. Showcase Dylan Edwards for Panthers. Haddon Fanil Blake parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Sharks parallel checklist. In the women's, number 68, Premiership Predictor for the Roosters. Joseph Tarpanay, parallel for the Raiders. 3 packets left for the box. World in League, Saitili Tupanua for the Roosters. David Clemmer, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for the Dolphins. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. And that is the end of the case, guys, which means we only have the priority box left to go. Tidy up. Let's go. Final box. Rising Stars, Raymond Vega for Manly. Tamir Martin, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Emma Tony Gatto for the Sharks. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Showcase, Corey Horsburgh for the Raiders. Dream Buller, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Atessa Poole for the Roosters. Manly parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Mackenzie Wiki for the Raiders. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. Tyson Frizzell, World in League for the Knights. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrone Munro for the Rabbitohs. Big Papa, parallel for the Raiders. Excuse me. Season to remember, Jackson Paulo for the Roosters. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Gold parallel, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks, number 82. Parallel, Blake Laurie for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Valance to wear for the Dolphins. A Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenball for the Bulldogs. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Andy Robinson for the Sharks. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Dolphins. World in League, Anessa Biddle for the Sharks. Knights, parallel checklist. Vitalina Nakor, gold parallel for the Cowboys, number 13. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Arthur Stephen for the Eels. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Club Heroes, our first one for the Priority Box. Jacob Preston, number 25. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Jamie Chapman for the Titans and Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Halfway through the Priority Box now. Rising Stars, Peter Holler for the Raiders. Isaac Tago, parallel for Panthers. Sword and Shield team, number 21. The Broncos. Roosters parallel checklist. World in League, Josh Alawai for Manly. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Alexis for the Dragons. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Kayla Romniak for the Knights. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Jasmine Peters for the Cowboys. Dave Fafita, parallel for Titans. Showcase Talator Koala for Manly. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Keanu Kinney for the Titans. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. World in League, Shannon Muru for the Eels. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Luke Metcalf for the Warriors. Tom Gilbert, parallel for the Dolphins. Rising Stars, Blake Moser for the Broncos. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. 7th last packet for the break, guys. Almost there. World in League Parallel number 13. Dallin Latin Zalesniak for the Warriors. Jackson Ford Parallel for the Warriors. And initials, number 114, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Eels, parallel checklist. And our second club heroes, Sarah Togatuki, number 5 for the Tigers. No. I was looking to see if she had a player position on the back. Jacob Preston, parallel for the Bulldogs. Sword and Shield, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Alfiana Kamki Era for Titans. Season to remember, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. And a lucky last packet for the break. Here we go. Sword and Shield, Jermaine Hopgood for the Eels. And Mitchell Moses parallel for the Eels. Alright, well that's the end of the packets. We have our 2 showcase group cards to randomise, which we will do now. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Oh yeah, there we go, break 277. As I said, still a few spots left, 13 spots. Only $95 a spot, guys. So, not a bad break to get a part of. Alright, anyway, we are all loaded in, ready to go. So we will do this twice, 3 times each go, and the winner of the third one will receive the card. Alright, number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Peter Lowe with the Raiders. And let's go again. Number 1, number 2, and last one, number 3. Lachlan Brisky with the Rabbitohs. Alright guys, that's it. That's all. Hope you had a ball.